Hey guys, finishing up the GT40X with the blueprint Edelbrock Performer RPM air gap copy after it was all ported and done and balanced. We use the QFT 650 annular booster carburetor for most of the testing. I did throw on my 770 to just see if it made a difference. It didn't. The only thing that kind of puts a little bit of a nix in it is this is the other head. So instead of it being cylinder head number 4, this is cylinder head number 5. It obviously flows a little bit less than 4 did, which kind of skews my ported numbers. But enough of the excuses. Let's get down to what we did. What we did is we tested... First thing we did is we tested this runner, okay, which is 4. And then we tested 4 with just the carburetor, then with our Wilson 4-hole spacer, then with our 1-inch open spacer to see the differences between the 3. It's kind of interesting when you put it all together because things happen that you wouldn't expect to happen. Now, in reality, the guy that owns this, I have a feeling he's going to wind up running it with the carburetor on the manifold, and it's going to work just fine, and he's not going to fiddle with it. But what he could do is, if you wanted to boost up your low end a bit, you could use spacers like this. You could even use more than one. Okay, still fully divided, except for our divider that we did change the angle on. It's not square anymore, it's tapered. Or you could use something like this. These are all Rob's spacers. I finally found my spacers. They were put away neatly. No wonder why I couldn't find them. The point I'm trying to get to is we did a ton of work on the intake and balanced the runners, and yet it didn't really make that big a difference. Now, will it make a difference the way the car drives? I'm sure it will. Just a quick look at the Holly that Eric did the dyno testing with. This worked out really, really well. And just to tease you a bit, we've got a brand new Victor Jr. and a brand new Super Victor. Not only that, we have a brand new Holly split coming in. We're going to do some experimentation on all 3 of them and figure out why the Holly did so well. So that's a teaser for future videos. Okay, guys. So what we got is, this is what we did with the manifold that wasn't touched before it was balanced, before it was ported, but it was on a different port. This was port number 4. This is port number 5. I may have goofed that up in the video before, but obviously 4 flows a little better. I think it flowed 244. I actually didn't flow number 5 by itself. I guess I could, but I don't know whether I really want to. I put more than enough time in on this manifold project as it is. So how'd we do? Well, you would think it would go up, but it is running on a different runner. So we got plus, plus, minus, minus, minus. How big are they? They're almost identical. Okay. Did the swirl change? Yeah, the swirl is definitely a little different. It's not a huge difference, but it is a little bit different. Now that is just the 650 on the runner, on top of the manifold. No spacers or anything. Let's see what the spacers do. Then we did the 650 on the Wilson spacer. Let's put pluses and minuses in here, reference to this. Okay, obviously it likes the 1-inch Wilson spacer. Minus, plus, 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 plus. Huge pluses? No. Plenty of CFM for a hot street ride? I would say yes. How'd we do as far as the swirl? Plus, equals, plus, 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 minus, minus, plus, plus, hit or miss. Still got a good swirl curve. Okay. How did it do when we put it to the open spacer? We're going to put some pluses and minuses in reference to, should we go to this one or should we go to this one? I think we're going to go, we'll go right from this one. I should add that our highest lift is only 650 because it has the seal on it now. I'm not taking the seal off and risking damaging the seal. So the highest we were lifting was 650. He's not going to run a 650. He's probably going to run a 600 plus cam, but not a 650. It does have a set of nice beehives on it. Very tough little beehive, actually. So he'll be able to get some RPM out of it. It's not really going to be a problem. Let's see how we did as far as from the Wilson tapered to the 1-inch open. Minus, 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 plus, plus, plus. You got some decent pluses up top. It makes it share the barrels a little bit easier. Okay? So it's worth some top end. Now, if you wanted to do it for tuning, you could try either one of these, right? Completely stock. Just throw it on the manifold and run it. If it doesn't have enough low end, you can throw this on and see what it feels like. If you want to get rid of some low end, because all it does is burn the tires and try to put you into a ditch, put the 1-hole on. You'll lose some foot-pounds down low, you'll gain it up top, and you'll cause yourself all kinds of issues there. The only thing we did is we threw the 770 carb on, and it actually flowed less than the 650 with just right on the manifold. So the bigger carb is not the restriction at this point. At this point, number 5 intake port runner is the restriction. And like I said, number 4 I think was running 244 CFM, which is more than enough. 244 is what I got out of the 289 stuff I did for DV. He got over 500 horsepower out of that. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be a 500 horsepower engine. It's not. It's a street thing. But still, the ability to do that is there. DV did that with a dual plane intake, by the way. He did have more of the plenum divider cut out. Now, we could always do that in the future as well. If he wants more top end, but he doesn't want to use a spacer, bring the manifold back. We'll do a little work on it. That's always a possibility. I should mention that the number 4 runner is the upper H, which doesn't quite flow as well as the lower H. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the lower H now. Okay, what do we see here? Well, this is the manifold before it was ported on the number 5 runner. This is the number 5 runner ported. It's on a different cylinder head port though. So it's a little tough to compare them, but we're going to do it anyway. We got a plus, plus, a minus, minus, plus, 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 minus, minus. It's a wash. They're very close everywhere. Now, if we're putting it on a cylinder head that flows a little bit less, that kind of makes some sense. Let's take a look at what our swirls did. Let's put some pluses and minuses in. It's kind of interesting how much the swirl curve changed. Now, I didn't write on this that it was going through the carb, but I'm pretty sure that's when we did that, it was going through the carb. If I goof that up, guys, please let me know in the comments. So this is this swirl curve versus the ported swirl curve. Plus, plus, minus, 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 plus. Overall, it's actually a nice swirl curve, right? It gets a nice kick right about top end. I really like that, the way that worked out. Now let's take a look at these two versus adding the 650 Wilson, the 1-inch Wilson spacer tapered. Okay, so going from the 650 carb right on the manifold through the spacer, we got an equals, plus, minus, 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 plus, plus, plus. Okay, it makes it, obviously that spacer makes it a little bit harder for it to share the barrels down here, but easier here, probably due to the velocity. Something interesting to think about. Now take a look at our swirls with the spacer, without the spacer. All minuses. We even have some zeros. A lot of people would argue this is the better curve than this. They'd rather have it dead here and then start to make some action over 500. So that's one of those things. You run the car without the spacer, you run the car with the spacer, and you see how it feels. You may have to even change the timing a little bit. Kind of interesting to think about. Okay, 650 carb open spacer versus the Wilson tapered. Plus plus equals plus 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 plus. It actually seems to like that better. Now that remember, we had it flowed a little bit better, right? That is the lower H flowed a little better because it's got that big plenum. It's able to feed it a little better. And then I did work to it, made it even better. So that really doesn't surprise me. Now, is there a problem running this one verse upper H, lower H? Okay, if we're running 600, you got 213 versus 218. Think that's going to be a problem? Nope, that's a damn nice balanced intake. I don't think we talked about the swirl. The swirl does change with the spacer, so we've got a minus here, which is about the only minus I think we had with any of the runners or spacers. So we got a minus equals plus minus equals minus plus plus. Very similar through the whole curve. Relatively low, 500 it starts moving. Either one of these will work quite well, okay, as far as I'm concerned. This one probably make a little bit more top end because it has a few extra CFM, and I bet this one drives around town better. My opinion means absolutely nothing. I think we should take a second, though, and we'll take a look at, this is a number 4 runner, this is number 5 runner. If we go through, take a look at how close these are. Okay. Now, we know we did the balancing on the intake, and it turned out really well. That was the last video. Okay, so we just want to go through how balanced it was. It was pretty darn good. Okay. Now, we were running through 5, which is a little bit on the low side, and we were running through 4, which was a little bit better. Now, did that show up on our... So, number 4, this is number 4, flowed 251, right? And number 5 here flowed 246. Well, I'm doing that right. Finished blueprint. I don't think that's the right one. Okay, guys, sorry, wrong page. Let's try that again. This is the finished number 4 runner. It flows 251. Okay, we got about 205 out of it. And this one was number 5, which flows 246. It actually flows better. Does that make any sense? Not really. Right? Not really. I don't have an answer for it. Sorry, guys. But it's always interesting to test and see what you come up with. In any case, we got 212 here. We got 205 there. Not bad. Now, why didn't it show more of a pickup here? Well, that's a good question. Remember, this way we are blowing through the manifold. The other way we're sucking through the manifold. It really shouldn't matter. Differential pressure is differential pressure. It really shouldn't make that big a difference. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Lots of numbers, lots of crunching, and what did we come away with? You're going to have to bolt it together, drive it, and see what you like and what you don't like about it. But now the customer's got a ton of different numbers with that carburetor, and he can put it all together, take it for a ride. It's going to be a 347. He's going to get a custom cam cup for it. He was thinking of getting NK to cut the cam after seeing the cam challenge. So that'll be interesting, and he will get it dynoed. I said I'd be more than happy to go there and be with the dyno testing. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And he's local, so I don't have to drive hours and hours to get there. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Have a good night.